Hello everybody and welcome back inside the box for another episode of Gunpla Kitbash with me, Kukamatsu. In this episode we'll be doing a little bit of light reshaping on the head and the arms, so let's jump right in. Okay, so a few smaller things to take care of on the upper half, the arms for sure and the V-fin. The V-fin I think is going to be a pretty simple job. I personally prefer a longer V-fin generally, but particularly with these longer pointy armor pieces. I think it just works a little bit nicer design-wise to have them be longer. It's going to be a simple fix, I think. I found these V-fin parts. What I'm hoping basically is that I can just glue it in behind. I'll have to trim that chunky bit off, but if I glue it in behind, I'll get a nice longer effect there. Basically, I just need to trim off that chunky piece. That's basically the idea. It seems to fit fairly nicely back there. It's always nice after a big job like the chest pieces to do a easy, simple job like this one. I personally tend to try and do the more difficult part first. Not exactly sure why that is. Maybe I'm just more excited about it at the beginning of the project and therefore want to put the energy into the more difficult part, and then I can kind of just relax and enjoy the easy parts at the end. I know some people prefer to do the easy parts first, sort of get the rhythm of the project, and then they're well set up to do the more difficult stuff at the end. So I guess it's just a personal preference thing. I'm not doing any filling and sanding on this. The parts fit very well together, so I'm going to use the Tamiya extra thin cement. I'm hoping that will give me a quick and easy result. Just want to make sure I know exactly where it's going to go before I stick the glue on there, because it's one of those things where the parts are small enough that my fingers get in the way and I can't really see it very well. What I'm hoping I can do is get it lined up, holding it with my left hand, and then just tuck some glue in there with my right hand, like that. And then I'll just hold it until it sets. One of the toughest things I find with this kind of work is finding the symmetry. And I mean, you can get away with some asymmetry, especially once you get it painted and weathered and all that kind of stuff. But I work as a 3D modeler, and you just have to make one side and then mirror it over to the other side. You don't have to do it separately. You kind of get used to that workflow, and then suddenly here you are. You got to do everything twice. I think that looks pretty cool. Nice little simple addition that makes it a bit more dynamic. Looks good from the back as well. Pretty cool. Next I want to tackle the arms. I find them just a little bit too squared, similar to the rest of the upper body, so I want to deal with that. I have these, which are the Master Grade Justice, and I like them because they're kind of a similar silhouette. It's just that this one is a bit softer than the Kyrios. So there are a few things I want to do to it though, and not just use it as is. There are some ridges in here I'd like to fill in. I'm going to take this plug out and fill that space, and probably maybe fill in that space as well. Now, I have been thinking about using this green circle here. I've been thinking a lot about how to deal with that, because there's this step in the middle of this arm. And I was thinking about drilling a hole all the way through and how would that look and stuff like that. And I think what I'm going to do, at least try, is I'm just going to put it in the lower part and have the top part continue to overlap it. So you have that kind of signature thing of the 00 series, but it's a little bit different. It's slightly tucked under the side there. I think that might look pretty cool. So we'll try that. Oh, and I think I want to fill in this piece as well, because this is very distinctive. This arm is used in a couple of different kits. My absolute favorite arm is from the Master Grade Freedom 2.0, and this is very similar to that. It's just this back area that's different, but that little piece there is very distinctive to that kit and this kit, and so I just want to remove it so that it takes it a little bit farther away from this original arm. I'll start just by filling in that hole that I created by taking out the plug. And then I will do some filling with the super glue. Just going to use some sticky tack to hold it in place temporarily, just to tack on that piece with super glue, and then I can work on it from there. You can see I'm not being very careful about the exact shape of how this fits in here. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be filing and sanding and filling anyway. It's just to get something in there so it doesn't end up being all glue to fill that space. Now just use the big file to give it some preliminary shaping. That's a good start, and I think it's looking pretty good and pretty easy to do. I just need to fill in some of these little holes left behind. That's looking pretty good. Now I just need to go through all of the levels of sanding block to get it to a nice surface, starting with 120 and then working my way up from there. Next is 240. Next is 400, and then 600, and finally 800. Looking good? Well, it's looking pretty cool, but the more I look at this place where I need to drill the hole, the more I think it's just going to be a mess. Because I start drilling that way and it's going to wander away because of this offset part. You know, now that I've filled this here, I kind of thought, oh well, that actually looks like a good spot for the green circle. So I think I'm just going to drill it in there. It's nice that it's already filled because it's going to give me a nice, hopefully give me a nice circle, and it won't be too much cleanup. We'll try it out and see how it goes. Okay, well, drilling big holes in thin plastic can be tricky. A regular drill bit will tend to like pull itself into the plastic very quickly and go out of control really fast. To avoid that, I have a couple of things here. First of all, I'm going to start it a little bit just by hand with a smaller drill bit to make sure I'm going to be centered in the right spot. And then I'm going to use this stepper drill. And this is very good for drilling through anything that's really thin. It goes a lot slower. It's not aggressive like a regular drill bit. And it'll also give you a really nice round hole compared to a drill bit. And just so I don't go too far, I'm going to put a piece of tape over the next one so that I know when to stop. Okay, so we'll start with putting a pinhole in here. I'm just going to eyeball it as in the center. So now I'll start with the stepper drill and just really take my time, go slow, and see how it goes. There's other stuff on the inside as well that it's going to hit. There's different materials in there. Not sure how this is going to go, to be honest. It could be a total disaster, but we will see. That actually went pretty well. I guess you could think that it was useless for me to fill that space, and it's possibly true, but it is actually nice to have something to center on and drill through, rather than if it was just an open hole as it was before. I would be putting that in there and trying to get the center of it, and I'm not sure I would have been as successful as I was. The size looks really good. I will have to clear out some stuff on the inside to get it to fit in there. There are tabs on either side of this, which I can remove, but I guess the ideal would be to clear out either side. That way we still have these spots where the pegs go in, and it'll still attach to the rest of the arm as it was before. I'm just going to use a chisel to kind of shape that so it sits in nicely. There we go, that's looking pretty cool. One last thing I want to do is get a little bevel going on that edge of the circle. So I have a countersink bit here that just a little bit of hand turning will just get that edge looking a little nicer. There we go. A little bit of a departure position wise from the regular 00 series, but I'm glad to have it in there, and I think it looks pretty cool on that part. Much better than if I tried to put it on the side. Pretty cool. And then the one small thing I want to do on this part is just fill up those ridges. So that should be a pretty easy job. Just put some super glue in there and sand it back, and then fill that piece in as well. So there we go. We went from that to that. And that is the end of the episode. In the next episode, we'll be working on the legs and the skirt armor. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like down below. Check out the playlist for previous videos. Subscribe if you want to follow along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.